My name is Brianna Gaither. I'm from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and my pursuit is to make a living as a singer-songwriter and also to empower other creatives through a ministry that I founded called Resonate Campaign. I have 3 goals: to book 10 gigs, to get 200 people to sign up for my Patreon subscription service I'm launching called Resonate Plus, and to finish out my Indiegogo fulfillments for the crowdfunding I did for my album and documentary.
Brianna Gaither, the founder and executive director of Resonate Campaign, began her journey as a singer-songwriter at age 16. The Oklahoma City songstress crafts a unique blend of vocally rich, emotionally charged, and musically diverse indie pop with revealing sincerity. Her 2017 album, Vanity, features 10 songs recorded in 10 months using 10 different producers. Her 10-month musical journey was captured in a feature-length documentary that she self-produced and co-directed. The film is titled Resonate after her campaign. She wants to grow Resonate Campaign into a community of like-minded artists, giving them a roadmap to build communities of artistry and faith in their communities.
Thank you, Brianna, so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Thanks for having me.
I'm pumped to finally have a musician. It is really hard to get musical guests. I feel like musicians just want to play music.
Yeah.
They don't really want to talk about what they have going on. So let's kind of go back and talk through your musical journey before Vanity, and then why you decided to make a documentary in addition to just coming out with your new album.
So I released an album in 2011 that I traveled with and I supported through touring and doing all kind of your normal singer-songwriter stuff. And I ended up having a wrist injury. It's repetitive motor injury, not carpal tunnel, but it still prevented me from doing everything I wanted to do at the time. I had to cancel a bunch of shows. And I finally just decided, you know, I'm going to go in a different direction. This is not working right now for a couple of reasons, and I'm going to go with it. And I very optimistically jumped into a totally new field. I ended up working for a tech startup in another city, and I moved, and I didn't stop writing music. I did do it kind of differently. I stopped performing and I started leading worship at church. And so I'm working full time, and startup life is intense. So we were working really, really hard, and felt that pull just to go back to music. And I also realized that I didn't just want to do an album the way that I'd done it before. I didn't just want to do one studio with one producer, this really isolated experience. And I also didn't know how much I was going to be able to promote this album like I did the last one, since I was still working full time. And I'm a person of faith. I really wanted to study why I'm creative and what that means to me as a Christian. And so I decided that I was going to do a grander scale project than what I'd done before, and create a documentary out of the process of writing. Well, I'd written the songs already, but I was going to create a documentary out of the process of recording 10 songs in 10 months with 10 different producers. This community formed around it, which is called Resonate. And so now I've founded a community that is of similar belief and working towards similar goals in their creativity.
Part of that was an Indiegogo campaign, and you successfully raised 20 grand.
Yes.
So, congratulations. Yeah. That's huge. Maybe talk through how you did that, the struggles, your advice for people who want to do an album or more, a creative project.
Fundraising is so hard, but I just had a community that came around me and really wanted to see my dream come to life. And that was so exciting, especially 6 years after my last album.
Someone listening would probably think, oh, well, she probably had, thousands and thousands of fans, like dedicated fans. So how big was your fan base that was from?
It was actually a really small group of people that were just really generous, and people sharing the word and getting it out. But I had under 200 contributors.
Wow. So did you have a team, like a launch team or street team or promotion team?
I had a friend who helped me.
Like that's one. That's you and two. That makes a team. A duo.
Yeah, I had a friend help me launch it because launching it was actually harder than I thought it was going to be. I kind of thought I would like pick some perks, rewards, you know, that people get and just throw it up and see how it goes. And it required a lot more strategy. So I had to create a video for it, which we did. I think I did the whole thing in December and launched it January 1st. I think I did the whole thing in 3 weeks, and I wouldn't recommend that. I would give it a prep time of I would give it months. I would give it 3 to 6 months.
Oh, what about choosing the perks or what are they called? I guess benefits or whatever.
Yeah.
How did you pick those, and would you do that part any differently?
I was really glad that I had a friend help me do that. She's a writer, and so that's one thing. It's like you're not just picking perks; you're marketing those perks.
Yeah.
And so you want to be clever and make people smile when they see the perk, and then they'll want to buy it. And so I kind of talked to different people who had done campaigns in the past. I looked at what the stats are on the most common perk, which is $25 roughly for what I'm doing. If you want to make your best perk package, probably 25, and then the next best one at 100. Those are generally the two price points for different people, what they're willing to invest. It was all or nothing. It was January, so 30 or 31 days. I think 31 days in January. Yeah. So it was intense too. And I would also highly recommend have in-person events scheduled in advance that you want to get people to, so that you can see them face to face, talk to them in person, and then have behind the scenes footage from those events to then continue to prep, because you get really tired just posting the same video over and over and over. And so you want to schedule out things that are happening all throughout that month. I would have scheduled more.
So everything's funded. Then now, I mean, I think it sounds overwhelming to me. I mean, you have your music that you wrote that you now need to produce with a producer. But I mean, I know you're in there. You're also producing. You're trying to think of counter melodies and, background vocals and arrangements and all this stuff. And you're also working on a documentary. So how did you manage all that?
Right.
Zapped? Was there no creative juice left?
I gave myself 10 months.
Okay.
Which is longer than I normally give myself, but it kind of went with it. It's 10, 10, 10. So people could catch on to it. And it also gave me a cushion. And I was working full time at a startup. So beyond full time, I had nights and weekends to do it.
Wow. And
I ended up leaving the company that I was at in the last 3 months of the project. I didn't, by the way, start out with the intention of leaving my company. It just ended up happening. I ended up being in a place where I could leave by the point which I actually really kind of needed to in order to finish the project. I was probably a little naive to think that I could do the project in just 10 months on nights and weekends.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad. I mean, how many things are you naive about? And you're so glad you were naive.
Yeah, you just
starting out.
Yeah, you didn't know exactly. So many things.
Yeah, if you had known, you wouldn't have done it. So it's it worked out perfectly. And I'll also say a documentary is interesting because it's one thing to have someone follow you around, but it's another thing to tell the story of what you did during a period of time in a way that's meaningful and engaging and has a story arc. So that was a whole new level of creativity for me that was really, really fun. But like I said, it's not just getting a videographer and having someone trail you. That's a behind the scenes video. To do a true documentary where you're bringing information, but also moving someone to view something differently or to think about something differently. It takes a whole different level of storyboarding and thinking and reevaluating. So we did a storyboard for the documentary, and then we redid it over and over and over and over as things developed. The story changed.
So you're getting married. You're doing your album and your documentary and this devotional. At least maybe after the wedding, but in the last 5 months, you got all those 3 things going on. How are you staying inspired? Are you getting any sleep? I mean, what?
I did not sleep as much toward the end. And it was a little like when it came down to the launch, the project launch, because the other thing that I did was perform it all. So I performed it, had a world premiere of the documentary, and I performed the album, which ended up being a really special event. But I kind of forgot how much energy it was going to take to remember how to play all my songs.
Yeah.
I mean, because and it is your full-time job. You actually have a really high capacity to get a lot of things done.
I agree with that. Some people need the pressure. For me, I have to have pressure or I can feel myself get depressed.
Right.
And I think a lot of really creative entrepreneurial people watching this who have a lot of energy and a lot of ideas, I think a lot of them err on the side of not pushing themselves enough. I mean, we're capable of a lot. Obviously, this is my full-time job, and at that point, that was your full-time job. So that's a different level of time available. But still, I think there's a lot to be said of, especially when like creatives can tinker with their ideas for a really long time. So it maybe also pushed you to the next level to have all of these like hard deadlines. Like, this is happening. We committed to this publicly.
Yeah. So that was exciting. You asked though, how did you stay inspired?
Yeah.
And there were long stretches of time where it was actually very hard to do what I was waking up to do. I mean, it would just be so overwhelming sometimes. And I'm asking myself, like, why can't I just not be like, why can't I have a simpler life?
Yeah.
But, man, once it got into the final pieces of things and you're seeing something come together when you've dreamed it for 2 years, you know, and you're seeing it in real life and it's something that you're proud of and you want to just keep building on, that is such a rush.
Congratulations on pulling all of that off. I mean,
Thank you.
That's a lot of huge things. We are going to watch you do a few things. And I think the way we can kind of tie it all together is that you are sort of wrapping up all of that you just did. You kind of have to put a bow on it and ship it out the door, which means fulfilling your orders. And it means doing some live events around the documentary, right? You wanted to do 10. Is that right?
Yeah.
So what do you mean when you say 10 events? What do those events look like?
Yeah, they can look so different. That's kind of the thing about having so many different types of products is I have my music that I can perform, I have the documentary that I can screen, and then I have kind of this devotional content and public speaking content that's great for churches and worship teams and just people developing their creativity in general.
10 paid engagements.
Yeah.
And you have to get all the other stuff out the door, shipped and done. Before we go, I just want to know any tips you have on creativity. I mean, I think I would be doing my viewers a disservice for someone who's researching creativity. What is your advice for people who, let's say 2 parts. First, people who want to be more creative. And second, people who are creative and maybe feel a little too scattered.
So first thing I want to say is there's no such thing as an uncreative person. And that's hard for people to get in their heads. They feel that they identify as creative or as not creative. There is such a thing as a non-artist, but there's, I mean, like a non-professional artist.
Right.
But as far as non-creative doesn't make a lot of sense. And I mean, I would even go as far to say that artistry is debatable. Like, there's so much that each human has to offer, and I'd say that we're made to be creative. And so, practically speaking, creativity is the art of envisioning something that should be, and then making it so. And I would say, to go even further, that creativity is making something better. Is taking what's around you and making it better, creating impact. You have imprint on the world around you. And that's so important for people to know, because it has so much to do with our core joy. I really think that creativity is combined in a lot of ways with joy. And the way that looks for a mechanical engineer is not the same that it looks, for a stay-at-home mom necessarily, or a singer-songwriter, but it can bring it can bring just as much life to you when you determine what your creative impact is to the world around you. And if you're an engineer, maybe that's through design and innovation and making the world a better place in that way. If you're a stay-at-home mom, it might be through hospitality. It might be just through the imprint that you have on your children. And if you're a singer-songwriter, that's going to look differently as well. Okay, so the creative who feels like a scatterbrained mess, first of all, a lot of your creativity comes through your scattered brain. Mm-hmm. It really does. It comes right through letting yourself think all the things your brain wants to think. And what I would say to you is give yourself an allotted time in the schedule for creativity, because sometimes your brain is scatterbrained because it's freaking out thinking like, you never give me time. You never give me space in your schedule. So I've got to like jut in when you're doing this other more important stuff, the more responsible stuff, or however we want to categorize that. It's like if you give your brain white space to just think whatever it wants to think, and it's allotted, it's in the calendar, I think you're going to find that the rest of your week is going to flow out of that creativity.
Part of you putting away that other thing and moving on to your next project is also this community that you're going to build on Patreon, right? So tell us about what you're launching. This is also within like 6 to 8 weeks.
Patreon is exciting. It's a pledge-based subscription service for artists and creatives to create content for an audience that is helping to patron them, basically, on a monthly basis. And so my goal, I'm launching a subscription service for Resonate, and that's the community of creatives that get together and are of similar mind and faith and ambition, or just for people who have a heart for creativity and want to make a difference in their world through anything that they're involved in. And I am not thinking that this will be a primary form of income for me. It's really just a next step. If you're in the Resonate community and you're wanting more, it's a place where I can monthly provide content for patron-only subscribers and have a feed where we can talk to each other and build community through that and give feedback to one another. So it's really, really exciting. And I'm making my price point as low as it goes. I'm doing $1 a month.
So thank you for sharing with us, and good luck.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Let's see how they did. But before we do that, I want to remind you that you could be featured on the show. All you have to do is sign up at thepursuit.tv/join. That's where you join Pursuit Nation, and then you use the hashtag MyPursuit to share your goal, and people who are engaging with the show, cheering on their favorite contestants, crushing their goals, and doing amazing or interesting different type of things. Those are the people I want to feature on this channel. So join Pursuit Nation, use the hashtag MyPursuit, and hopefully I'll be talking to you soon about having your story here on The Pursuit in the Trenches. To recap, her goal is to fulfill all of the remaining rewards from her crowdfunding campaign, to book 10 speaking or music gigs, and to add 200 members to her Patreon paid subscription community. Now let's watch her vlog and see how she did. Today I'm working on distribution for my Indiegogo crowdfunder people. So there are a couple tips that I have actually that I wish I had known going in, but one of those is whenever you're deciding what you're going to offer people in your crowdfunding campaign, there's something that goes through your mind that's like, okay, what do I have to pay for and what could be free and just come out of my mind? So as a musician, something that I needed to pay for is the physical CD that I'm releasing that I would be shipping to people and actually packaging up and mailing. And then something that would be free, for example, is like
the meaning behind the songs, where I can create a PDF, something nice that has all of the song meanings, and then I can email it to people for free. And when you're raising money, so you don't have money to start, it's common to lean on the things that are free. But in reality, when you get to the end of the project, time is money. And so I'm actually kind of regretting some of the promises that I made that are costing me time now. Whereas the stuff that costed money that I could hire out someone else to do, or that I could hire a distribution company to create, or a production company to create, I don't have to do anything. I can just ship it out now. And that's probably what I would do round 2, is limit the amount of things that I am committing to do with my own time that would take large amounts of time for me to create, even though it's a free thing for me to make and send out to people. My time is no longer free. It was free a year ago, and it's not free today. So that's the quick crowdfunding tip that I would give for you, and I hope it helps. So it is Friday afternoon, and I am multitasking all 3 of my goals. Per usual, doing everything at the same time. It's going great though, and I've got a decently long list of probably maybe people that might book me, which is great, hacking through that. I'm working to promote Resonate Plus, get people subscribed up to that, and working on content for future months. So that's super fun, and distribution as always.
Week to see if Brianna successfully reaches her goal. But now let's check in with Enga Stanfield, the owner of Matenga's Pizzeria, to see if the store met their Q2 targets, and to see if she successfully automated all of the store's social media activity through September in anticipation for baby Stanfield number 3.
All right, Hengam, so good to see you. I'm excited. It's the moment of truth. So yes. Tell me, did you reach your goals to automate your marketing and hit your Q2 sales numbers?
Okay, so here's what I'm going to tell you first. I don't know if you know, but my baby was born 4 weeks early.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. I didn't see it on social media or anything. Oh wow, well that would change things.
That changed things a bit. And just the last week before she came, I was kind of huffing and puffing. But so what I was going to say is that the automation of the marketing did happen. I was able to automate the whole thing, so I've not been posting actively anything because it's already going on its own, and that has helped a lot, so I've not been worrying about that. And the email marketing has been a success. I've had about 35% open rate, and we've been able to generate in the last 2 weeks about $700 just from the profitability of folks who come in because we're able to track it. Did we or did we not meet our quarterly goal? Yes, we did.
Awesome.
And our sales growth from Q2 2016 to Q2 2017 was 11.2%. And we were shooting for 10% sales growth from last year. We were able to exceed it.
Congratulations. I mean, I'm glad you got everything set up before she came, because once that comes, like,
is a miracle.
Stops.
Oh, yeah. So yeah.
Tell us kind of your best tips and what you learned about automating your marketing efforts, what you would tell someone who wants to do the same thing, maybe, just your best advice on that.
You realize, well, it's much easier to put in like a week of full force and getting some much done that you don't have to worry about at least this one aspect of your business. So the way I did it, I bootstrapped it. I used a Google Doc. I just looked up different things that are relevant to our business that we want to feature and highlight, not bombarding people with stuff, but just kind of choosing a few things so some evergreen content. So maybe always Monday about a salad, Tuesday about a thing. You have themes for every day, and then there are national stuff that are going on like Flag Day or Father's Day and things of that nature. And overall, and then I think it through what we're going to do, and then I plan a day. Then I went in and I recorded several videos, and then I sat and edited them, and I scheduled them in Buffer. I use the paid version, $10 a month. It's nothing. And so it's all scheduled out, really, really easy.
Awesome. Well, so great. Congratulations. Thank you for sharing with us. I will check back in with you or you email me about your goal next week, just so that we can know for sure on the other part of your goal. But thank you for sharing your story with us. Congratulations on the baby, and congratulations on meeting your goal. And I know people are going to love just having watched your story and having seen everything unfold. This has just been really cool. So thank you and congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much. This has been a fun ride, and the pressure of, meeting with you and all that the accountability has been very nice. So it's made me, make sure it happens. So
multiple people have said that. If only everyone had this reality show pressure, we would all get everything done.
Pretty much. Yes, absolutely. I recommend it. And I know you have the hashtag going. You want to join in. I strongly recommend it. Again, the accountability
Yes, everyone use the hashtag.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, thanks again, and we maybe we'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds good. Thank you, Kelsey.
Don't miss next week's episode with Amanda Smith, who needs her online gardening informational product business to replace her income so she can maintain her standard of living and become a work-at-home mom. That's next week on The Pursuit in the Trenches.